I'm Danny. I'm with the CS team at Figured, and today I'm going to show you how you can enter actual transactions into your livestock tracker. First thing I'm going to do is change it so I'm only viewing actuals in my tracker. This is indicated by the green banner across the top. There are several types of transactions that you can enter in the livestock tracker. This includes reconciling transactions such as births and deaths and your aging transactions, as well as sales and purchases. The best practice for entering these depends on the type of transaction that you're entering. We'll take a look at the reconciling transactions first. Best practice for entering these is directly through the grid. And when doing that, there are several options available, and that gives you a different level of detail. We'll take a look at annual mode first. The annual mode of entry is only available for actual transactions, and this won't be available when entering forecast transactions. If we take a look at the annual mode and we click into a cell as if we were going to enter births, we can see that it defaults to assigning that just for the 2022 year as a whole. It doesn't give us a specific date. And from there we would just enter the quantity. If we take a look at the monthly view, it's very similar. However, we do have the option to enter the births against a certain month. For the detailed view, when we enter a birth against that, we have the option to choose a specific date that those took place, as well as add any notes if necessary. No matter the option that you choose when entering those, once you save, it will just enter the total in the cell above. If we take a look at the sales and purchase transactions, the best way to enter these is dependent on the workflow that you're using. There's two options available. There's the Xero first workflow and there's the Figured first workflow. We'll take a look at the Xero first workflow to start off with. This means that you're entering transactions in Xero first and then coming into Figured and reconciling them on Figured's end. You can see here that I've already preemptively created a transaction in Xero and run my sync in Figured. That's resulted in this yellow triangle here and this yellow banner across the top to indicate that I have unreconciled transactions. The easiest way of entering these into Figured's end is by clicking on the cell while I'm viewing in detailed view. That's going to result in this import from Xero button. Once I click that, it's going to bring through the transaction details from Xero, and I can just confirm that everything looks good on this end and save it. Just like with the births and deaths, it's going to add that total into the cell above. If we take a look at the Figured first workflow, this means that I'm going to enter the transaction on Figured's end first, post it through to Xero to reconcile on Xero's end. The easiest way to do this is by using the toolbar at the top, hitting Add Actual. In this instance, I'll add a sale. That's going to bring me to a separate page to enter the details of my transaction. I can enter my sale date, my payment date, and add a contact. Something to note about the contacts is that these are pulled directly from Xero, so if you do need to add a new contact, you'll need to do that on Xero's end first and then run a sync in Figured. I have the option to add a Xero reference, such as an invoice number. I'm going to also choose whether it's tax exclusive or inclusive. This button here is the important bit because that's going to make sure that it posts through to Xero to create the transaction for us to add a payment to later. I also have the option to add any attachments such as an invoice or any documents relating to the transaction. And down below is where I'm going to choose my stock class. You do have the option to add multiple stock classes to one transaction. And you also have the option to add any non-stock related lines to this transaction. That could include any freight costs or any levies. Once I've entered all the details of my sale, I can hit Save Transaction. That's going to create the transaction in both Figured and Xero's end. If for any reason I needed to find a transaction that I've created that the details may have changed for, I can do so by using the View Transactions button. This is going to take me to a separate page with all of my transactions that I've entered listed. I can use the filtering options at the top of the page here to track down the exact transaction that I'm after. Depending on how I've entered my transaction, they will display slightly differently as well. You can see here the ones that I've created in Xero first and imported into Figured show with an imported status. The ones that I've created figured first and posted through to Xero will show as posted. Once I've applied that payment on Xero's end, it then changes to paid. These little blue boxes here can be used as a direct link to the Xero transaction, and it's a quick way that you can apply that payment on Xero's end. If for any reason I need to change the details for a transaction that I've posted through to Xero and applied the payment for, I'll first want to remove the payment from the transaction. Then I can come in here, hit this edit button, make any changes to my transaction, repost it through to then apply the payment to in Xero again.